The idea of printing on fabric is not a new thing. It's been around for a while now. But did you know there's more than one way of doing this? In fact, I've experimented using 6 different techniques of setting up my fabric to print at home. And today, I'm going to share all of these techniques with you. Hello everyone, it's Dragana at Saacibo. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. I promised in the previous video I will do a tutorial on printing on fabric, and it's today. As I said at the start of the video, we will cover 6 different techniques, and hopefully by the end of this video you will have some sort of idea which one works the best for you. I have also prepared some freebies that we are going to print on these 6 examples. This one with different vintage seed packets. There's that one. These are my artsy specimen cards, 1 page with all of them in smaller size. This was a freebie from a few weeks ago. It was a larger page. Now I've decided to include this page with smaller versions. Then we have that one, but without the background. We had it with frames also a couple of weeks ago. And there's a large butterfly. And there's this one. This is part of one of my earlier kits. You can find all these printables on my website. Follow the link. They are free for you to download. There's no need to register or leave your details. Turn off all the ads, click on the image and download the picture. If by mistake you click on any of the Google ads and they take you somewhere else, please do not provide your details to anyone. Okay. Let's just start. We have the images that we want to print, but what about the fabrics? I've experimented with a few different types of fabric, and what I'd like to say is do not use fabrics that are really thick upholstery fabrics. Do not use fabrics that are textured or heavily textured, that have raised parts. And of course, stretchy fabrics, that's just not going to work. It might get jammed in your printer and you will probably abandon the whole project then. It works really well on fabrics that are dense. By that I mean the weave of the fabric should be dense and also smooth. So cotton or cotton blend works well. Even silky fabrics work really well, like if you have real silk. And I've tried printing on this sheer fabric and that's the result. And if you don't have a lot of fabrics and you don't want to go and invest a lot of money into this, if you're just going to do a few prints for your projects, just get 1 pillowcase and you'll be able to get probably about 8 to 10 amazing prints just on 1 regular pillowcase. It doesn't have to be 100% cotton either. I have here several different types of fabrics. I have this one, which is like a curtain, and this one is not a dense weave, but it's quite flat and smooth, so it might work. Then I have this here. This is upholstery fabric, but not a thick one. It's similar to denim, I would say, but a lighter version of it. Then I have just regular cotton that I dyed. There's this cotton blend, that's also cotton, and I have this silk from a shirt that I dyed with avocado, so I'm going to try on that one. Okay, we've got the images, we've got the fabrics, but how do we set the fabric so that it will go through the printer? We need to stabilize it. We need something that's going to keep it firm so that it can feed into your printer. Most of the time, when I print on fabric, I like to use these self-adhesive labels because it's definitely the quickest method. I don't have to fuss too much, and then I can print on the back as well and use the printed label side. It's the easiest of all of the 6 techniques that I'm going to show you, and it never fails me. So let's just do that one. I'll just grab 1 paper. Let's do the silk one first. An absolute must if you want to end up with a good print without smudges, you have to iron the fabric. So let's do that. I have my craft ironing board. Just a piece of cardstock with some towels and some old tablecloths. One of these sticky rollers are great for this too, because you want to remove all the little bits and pieces that are perhaps stuck to your fabric. And also, if you have a cloth or something to protect the fabric, especially the ones that are fine, that you don't want to melt the fabric. So I'm going to put this one over. I'm just going to iron it flat. Okay, let's see. I'm going to print on that side, so that means I need to turn this way. I'm going to just lightly clean up from all the loose threads and perhaps pet hair. And now I'm going to peel off the paper. Simply place it onto the fabric. All right, turn it onto that side. Make sure there's no air bubbles. Press it down really well. And I keep this paper. It's great for when you want to make your own washi tape, or if you want to make your own labels, or also if you decide to print on that side, once you peel the fabric off, you can put that label back and it will hold for a while, and you can just reuse it that way. Now we need to cut off the excess. Always cut flush to the edges of the paper. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as there's no loose threads that can wrap around the printer head or printer rollers and cause jamming. That's it. So now I can just run it through the printer. If there's any of the loose bits, just take them off. And because this fabric is not completely white, I'd like to print something that is black and white. For example, I was thinking of printing that one. So I'll keep them together. My second choice of doing this would be with ordinary cling wrap. The thin plastic foil that's used to cover food to keep it fresh. And to do this one, you also need one sheet of paper, the size that your printer can take. Just ordinary copy paper. I'm going to cut off this bit because I can see there's a tear here. So I cut it a little bit bigger. It does shrink with ironing. Okay. And you need to have that in between the paper and your fabric. I'm going to cut this bit here too. I think I want to use this fabric. I also need to cut it a little bit bigger than the paper, which is, I think, here. I guess I can just tear it. The side that I want to print on has to be on top. So now I have to place this. So the cling wrap is sandwiched between the fabric and the paper. And then you take your iron. Just don't go over this part here because you're going to melt the cling wrap. Go close to the edges but not all the way. And I also turn it onto this side and then repeat the process. And when I see that it's joined, for example, there in the middle, I can cut this now. Now that it's cut, I can go over and make sure that all the edges are properly set. Okay. It really needs to be completely glued to the fabric. Cling wrap acts as a glue here, basically. Of course, make sure there's no bubbles. All right, I'm gonna go again from this side. Good. And also just like to do this before the actual printing. Just remove all the fluff, fix all the edges that perhaps are sticking. Another thing you can do is, if your fabric has any of the raised bits or little knots or something like that, you can use something like this. You just go around and shave those bits that are sticking out. Good. Now what should we print on this one? Let's print this lovely image. Okay, for the next method, let's use this fabric dyed with pomegranate dye, and I placed a stencil and it didn't really turn out all that well, but it's a lovely yellow color, so I'm just going to iron it first to get rid of these fold lines. So I'm going to print on that side, which means I have to glue the paper onto that side. I'm going to take one sheet of A4 size paper. For this one, I'm going to use just glue stick, any glue stick that you have. Glue stick is not a permanent glue when it comes to fabric, and it will work long enough for you to print on the fabric. However, if you decide to use the glue stick, print on the fabric the same day as you apply the glue stick. If you wait a few days, it might start to peel off. Some air bubbles might form. It will stay stuck to some areas of the paper and unstuck from the others, and it will result in a really smudged and not so good looking print. On the upside, it's really cheap and affordable. I mean, most people would have a copy paper and a glue stick, and if you just want to print one or two, you don't have to go and invest in buying the labels. And it is quite quick. Make sure you apply the glue stick evenly and cover all the edges well. I'm going to go twice now in this direction. Just in case if I missed some areas. All right, let's get that. I'm going to cut here. Okay, now one quick roll with this lint roller and it's ready. So what should we print on that one? I think the map would look good on that one. Let's use this fabric. This is a upholstery fabric that's kind of similar to denim, but I'm sure it's synthetic. It's not really natural fiber. It will work. I've tried it already. So I'm using this cloth on top because I don't want to melt it. Now this time around, I'm going to use double-sided tape. This is, I believe, a very popular way of preparing your fabric. And it's quite safe. It works well. It's not going to fail you, but it is a bit fiddly and it takes a while to set up. If you find that the glue stick is not working for you, you don't have adhesive labels, you can't get the cling wrap to stick to your fabric, then use this. It's going to work, but like I said, it does take a while to set up. So I have the fabric prepared, but now I have to prepare the paper. And you basically take your double-sided tape. If you have a wide one, it would be perfect. I don't. I have this one. so it will have to do. And you just have to cover the whole page with this tape. You're basically making yourself an adhesive label paper. Once you peel off the printed fabric, sometimes you can actually reuse it for 1 or 2 more prints. It depends, I guess, of the tape you're using. If it's a stronger tape, it might be good enough to use a few times. Now I need to cut it. Okay, as you can see here, I haven't applied because it is a narrow strip, and I think if I feed the paper and the fabric in the printer this way, it won't matter, but I wouldn't do it that way. Okay, now you have to remove this side of the tape one by one. See, when I say it's fiddly, it really is. I would go for this only if I have no other options. I'm gonna put the fabric down. Let's cut the excess off. When you have a fabric like this that tends to fray easily, it's absolutely crucial that it is glued well. I had one that I wasn't really paying attention. There was like a thread left like so, and it got caught up in the printer rollers and it jammed the whole thing. So make sure you don't have any of these threads loose. Okay, so it's nicely set. Let's just clean it up a little bit. And what should we print on that one? Let's print this big butterfly. For technique number 5, you will need something like this: heat and bond iron-on adhesive. It's used in sewing. This is a light one and it's perfect for printing. So this is how you do it. You cut yourself a piece that is approximately the size of A4 paper. Let's pick the fabric. I want to try printing on this fabric. You basically just iron this over the fabric, and you don't need any other papers, but you will need to cut it to the size of the paper that can fit in your printer. So I'm just going to iron this piece just like that. I think I'm going to use this one, but I need to cut this first. Just clean it up and it's ready. I'm going to print this one here. Let's prepare the fabric for the last one. We will actually need 2 fabrics, so I'm going to use these 2. And I'm going to cut them to size immediately. It's important now that you set it up correctly. So I'm going to print on that side, and for this one I'm going to print on that. So you have them face each other like so. And for this technique you will need a laminating pouch. One will be enough. This technique works well. It's quite easy to peel off later, which you will see, but it does create waste, and it is not cheap because these laminating pouches are not cheap, and not everyone has a laminator. But you know, if you're in a hurry and you really need to print something quickly, you don't want to mess with double-sided tape or anything like that, and you have a laminator, I just wanted to show you that you can do it this way. You need to wait till this is warm. Okay, it's ready. I like to put it inside of this packaging paper. I have a really old laminator and it doesn't have temperature settings and it quickly gets too hot, so I prefer to adjust it like so. Let's see. Oh, it's all right. Turn that off. Now we need to open it up. And I'm going to cut that piece of plastic there. Cut here. And I don't need to cut it here at all. And then you separate them. So you have two. Let's see. I was thinking of printing that onto this, and I'll find maybe some music score or maybe some text for that one. Okay, I think there is a freebie with that. So we all set up and let's do the printing now. I'm on my website and I'm going to just grab this music sheet printable. This is the ad. I'm going to turn it off. Okay, which one? I'm gonna take this one. I'm just gonna right click, save image as, and I'm going to save it with the rest of the freebies. I have all the images here. We said we are going to print this one first on the silky fabric. Okay, I'll show you on the first example how I print this. So I select print here. Okay, there's my printer, Canon. And you see how it turned the image the wrong way up because it says here orientation portrait. I'm going to select landscape and now it's properly laid. I'm going to have one copy, A4 size. If you use letter size, then you choose letter. Paper type, I just select plain paper. Obviously there's no fabric here, so this is a hack. Photo size, full page. Okay, page margins normal, fit, shrink to fit. So do not select fill page, shrink to fit. Here I'm going to select more settings. It will give me yet more options. Paper and quality A4, paper type plain, and output quality. It says automatic. If I choose automatic, it will give me a rather pale print, and I want more ink because fabric is going to soak more ink than the paper, obviously. So I'm going to select high quality, and then here I have an option of color or monochrome, and because this is a black and white image, I'm going to choose monochrome, but for the other ones that have color, I'm going to choose color. All right, document binding none, and make sure, absolutely make sure that you have borderless printing off. If you select that on and attempt to print from edge to edge, it's not going to work. You're going to end up with a lot of smudges and your fabric might start peeling off the paper, which will then result in jamming. I'm going to press OK. Now I have to put the paper with the fabric into the printer and then select print. When it comes to the actual printing, I find it's best if I remove everything from the paper tray apart from the fabric that I want to print. And now I'm going to just slide that in. And I'm pressing the print button. Here we go. So exciting. Let's take a look. Hope you can see. It turned out beautiful on this silk. Oh, I can't wait to use these in my journals or even some sewing projects. For the next one, we said we're going to print this image. Here we go. It is gorgeous. Lovely print. The next one is this. We said we're going to print the map. Here we go. Oh, wow. Absolutely love this one. Okay, we said we're going to print a big butterfly on this one. That was quick. Love how it turned out. Let's put it into the printer. And we said we're going to print this one. Oh, can't believe how amazing this looks. This is the first time I'm trying this image on this fabric and I absolutely love it. And we've got two of these with the laminating sheet. Wow, I really love how this one turned out. Beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. We can still see the leaves underneath the print. Prints are done. Let's take a look. That was the first one. I think it's quite sharp. Let's peel it off. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm gonna save this paper. It's still sticky. I can do maybe one more or two more prints. I can reuse it or just print on the back. Now what I like to do once I take it off the label sheet, I like to set it with heat. Okay, so I'll just put this over and I'm just going to iron, and hopefully that will make this ink a little bit more stable. All right. It is just so pretty. Can't wait to use it in my journals. All right, now we have this one. What did we do here? We used cling wrap, and look how easy it is to peel. Now we're gonna heat set this one too. Beautiful print. It stayed really sharp, and there's the paper version of it. I can hardly tell the difference even from this close. Love how sharp it is. What did we use here? Was it a glue stick? There we go. Also very easy to peel. Repeat the process. Let's compare. Okay, the fabric was already yellow and it had a bit of a pattern from a stencil left. I love how it turned out. It's really, really good. Looks really vintage. Can even use it as a journal cover. Now we have this one. What did we use here? We used double-sided tape. This paper is going to stay sticky enough, and I'm sure that this can be reused. Look how sticky it is. I'll just get one of these papers from the labels, and I'm going to place it over, and I can use that again. So that's the good side of using double-sided tape. You can definitely use the same sheet more than once, especially if it's a really sticky tape. Okay. I was thinking that perhaps I could do some embroidery on this in color. That would be really nice, I think. Where's the original? There it is. Over here, I didn't use high quality print. I used just automatic. That's why it's a little bit washed out. Okay, so you can play with that. If you want a paler looking print, just use less ink. And this is the one that I'm really curious about. This is supposed to be an iron-on label now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut out one just to show you how it works. So imagine if you're making a handmade items and you want to print your labels that you can simply iron on to your projects. This is how you can do it. Add some heat and bond to your fabric, print your labels, and you have a ready-made sticker. I'm going to peel off the paper, and there it is. See that shiny side? Now it has that glue. Let's iron this beauty onto something. I have this tag. I'm just going to place it here. I'm going to use that. Iron over. And this would work on fabric too. Look how nicely it is glued. Perfectly flat. How pretty is that tag? And maybe hang a charm. One of those little button cards. Cute. Peel off. Easy. And now I need to heat set it. Love how these turned out. I think I'm going to make some little charms or clusters with these. I love these prints. One more thing I forgot to mention, if you decide to do this with the laminator, it's not a good idea to laminate and while the whole thing is still warm and limpy, do not put it in your printer. It's not going to work. It's going to start curling up. So what I like to do is just place it in the freezer for about 20 seconds and then take it to the printer, and then it works like a charm. Because this plastic needs to harden. If it's too soft, it's not going to work. Sometimes that helps. There it is. Here we have a white background, but I've printed on a colored fabric. They still turn out really good. They just look a little bit more vintage here. I had to print one more map. I just loved it so much, and I wanted to see what it looked like on this avocado dyed fabric. Love them both, actually. They really look cool on these grungy dyed fabrics. Just a few things that I want to mention before I finish. I've shown you 6 different ways of doing this, but there's actually more than this. I haven't tried the freezer paper because the freezer paper that I got here just wouldn't work. Freezer paper usually has this plastic on one side and it's just paper on the other. I couldn't find it anywhere here in a roll like this, so I went to the supermarket and I've seen that they're wrapping up cheeses in the deli section. Don't laugh. And I was too embarrassed to ask for a few, so I sent my husband. He's not embarrassed. He will just ask anything. And I tried, but it didn't really work. I guess even this plastic has to be a certain type of plastic. Perhaps the freezer paper that you have might work, but what it is actually, it is paper with a bit of plastic like this on the inside. Whether you use that with copy paper or whether you use freezer paper, it is almost the same thing. You can also use contact paper, the plastic one, although it is a little bit softer and it might not always work. I tried a few times. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. That's why I didn't want to do it in the video, because it doesn't give me consistent results. Now I want to show you this. Now take a look at these two. I ironed it and then rinsed it. And the other one, I rinsed it without ironing. And I used fabric that was treated with alum. Okay, that's alum. Looks like sugar. It's used in eco dyeing. So if you want your prints to be color fast or to last longer without fading, you can treat the fabric with alum before you print on it. I used 1 teaspoon of alum to about half of this bucket. I think it's about 1 liter of water, and then I soaked about 8 of these pieces of fabric in the solution for a couple of hours. Then I took it out, squeezed the excess off, and I laid it flat to dry. With this one, as you can see, it completely washed off. It was that one. I didn't use alum, I didn't iron it, and when I placed it in the water, the ink just started dissolving. There's a little bit left, but most of it's gone. One more thing you can do with your fabric, if it's really limp, you can make it a bit firmer by using starch, like I've done here. It is the same fabric, but look at this difference. This one is kind of almost like a sheet of paper, and that one's really limp. And I've used laundry starch, the one that I got here in the shops. What else? And then I tried the same image, printing it on this thicker fabric. That turned out well as well. And this one, I think I really want to do a bit of embroidery on here. So this is a great way to transfer your patterns for embroidery, for example. You don't have to worry about tracing over the design. Basically print and then use. I have a few more examples of the ones that I've tried. Remember that freebie from a few weeks ago? I had to try it. I love it. Not every fabric will work, so you have to be aware that sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. Now here I've used another upholstery fabric. It is some sort of synthetic fabric, also very silky. I think it's a little bit fuzzy. And then I had to try this. Lovely. I have some text here. And look at these ones. So cute. I should actually now film what my studio looks like at the moment, and you would be shocked because as I was filming, I was just throwing stuff on the floor that I didn't need anymore for the filming. Oh my gosh. I don't recommend machine washing these. Just remember, these are for small crafts, not really for clothing. I guess you can draw your own conclusions about your favorite way of doing this. I'm just looking at my notes to see if I've missed anything. And then it occurred to me that perhaps you might want these notes as well. I will share them in our Facebook group, Crafting with Saacibo. I hope this was helpful and also inspirational. And you can probably guess that I'm going to be playing with these fabrics in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you soon in the next one. Bye for now.